So we are in week 6. I want to thank Anita for so graciously offering to teach and lead the discussion last week for week 5. Um, I was unavailable. I was in the trenches of dissertation. Um, and so we are grateful that it's not over, but that part is done. And so this week we are moving on to week 6 of our book, 52 Weeks of the Names of God. And this week is Lord Yahweh. Um, and I want to start off. I'm gonna start off because I was reading this and I'm like, okay, we've talked about Lord, we've talked about God, but what makes us different? And so in reading the lesson that we had, it went through like Elohim and Adonai and Yahweh, all kind of in the same thing. And I was like, okay, but we talking about God. But then I had to remember, well, this book is the 52 names of God. So even though we're talking about God, he's still got a lot of different ways that he's acknowledged. And so I'm like, well, what's the difference? And so this week is Lord, and Lord is in all capital letters. And I'm like, what's the significance of that? And so Yahweh was not said by the Jewish people because they didn't have the verbs. And it was God's personal covenant name, which revealed his relationship and his faithfulness to them. Then God Elohim, we talked about him in week 1. And then Lord with L lowercase O R D is Adonai, and we'll talk about that next week. But I needed to know what the difference between them were so that we can acknowledge, because remember, this is that in our prayers and in our relationship and conversations with God, we need to be sure that we're addressing God in the manner that we need him in that moment. And so when we say Lord Yahweh, we're talking about again our relationship and our faithfulness to him. When we're talking about Lord Adonai, which we'll go through next week, we're talking about the master or the ruler. He's the authority and sovereignty in our life. And when we're talking about God Elohim, he's the divine creator. He's the power, he's the majesty, he's the all. And so this particular lesson is revolved around Exodus chapter 3. And so I'm going to read that. It's, I think, 23 verses, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back. So Exodus chapter 3 is 22 verses. I'm going to read the whole thing, and this is coming from the ESV. It says, now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, and he left his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountains of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called him out of the bush, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. Then he said, don't come near, take off your sandals of your feet, from the place which you are standing is holy ground. I just had to have a caveat right there because this is actually one of the scriptures. This and I think Joshua 5:15 um, are the two scriptures of which this whole ministry is based on. And I'm going to tell you guys why. Is because when I started this ministry, I wanted people to know that being in relationship with God, having a place to converse, having a place to talk about, um, learn about, grow in God did not have to happen in the walls of a church. And that is why I named this ministry Holy Ground, because when we see this, Moses is not standing in a tabernacle. Moses is not in a place of worship. He is literally on a mountaintop. And God tells him, where you are is a place of holy ground. This is where I'm meeting you. And so that, I mean, he says the same thing to Joshua, and I think it's Joshua 5:15. But that is the basis of what this ministry is based off of, and why we are called Holy Ground Ministries is because of this verse. So that's the lesson about Holy Ground. So that's verse 5, 3 5. Then he says in verse 6, and he said, I am God of your father. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their masters' sufferings, and have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of brought in a land Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivitites, and the Jebusites. And now behold the cry of the people. I have also seen the oppression which the Egyptians oppressed them. Come and I will send you to Pharaoh that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Egypt out of Egypt? I will be with you. And this shall be a sign for you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain. The God of your fathers has sent me to you. And they asked me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, say this to the people of Israel, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob have sent me forever. And thus I am to be remembered throughout. The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has appeared to me. I have observed what has been done to you. And promise that I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt in the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, in a land flowing with milk and honey. And they will listen to your voice. And you and the elders of Israel shall go to the king of Egypt and say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. And now please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. But the king of Egypt will not let you go unless compelled by a mighty hand. So I will stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with all the wonders that I do in it. And after that, he will let you go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And when you go, you shall not go empty, but each woman shall ask her neighbor and the woman who lives in her house for silver and gold jewelry and for clothing. You shall put them on your sons and your daughters, and you shall plunder the Egyptians. So that's the basis of this in chapter 3. So when I was doing the study on this, I'm like, okay, well, who is God revealing this? And the things that I came up with is that he is self-existent. He depends on nothing outside of himself. He's not asking for anything or anyone else to come. And he says this because when Moses is asking him, who shall I say sent him? And he's saying, I am of the I am, is because the Egyptians had different gods. They had the god of the sun, the god of the water, the god of the this, the god of that. And so by saying I am, I'm the God of everything. I don't have anything out of me. I don't have anything else that I need to be God because I am God. I am it. I am all. He also is showing that he has no beginning or end and he's showing that he's a generational God. So that's why he continues to tell him, the God of Isaac, I am
It's freezing for me, but I don't know. Jazz is gone now. Can
Mine
anybody?
just mine just came back.
Okay. She's coming back. She's the host now.
Hey, the internet just kicked me off.
Mm-hmm.
That's rude.
We
Okay.
agree.
I had to get on my hotspot, and we've been having the internet's been fine. We had an issue last week, but it's been fine, and all of a sudden it went to act up. Okay, sorry. Um, in verse 15, he goes on and he tells Moses, "This is my name forever." So that's another significance of it is that he is always going to be Yahweh. He is always going to be Lord, Lord. He is always going to be I am of the I am because he is God. And then he goes on and I talked about the holy ground piece because verse 5 is again a personal thing for me. But the key moments that I saw in this is that he appears in the fire, but he is not consumed by it. And then also realizing that God calls Moses by name. And so he does the same with us. When God calls us, he's calling us specifically by who we are, and by what our names are. So we have to have that relationship with him so that when he calls us, we know that he's calling us. He also acknowledges his concerns for Israel's suffering in verse 7. So that's why when crying out, the murmurings that we have with God, this is a story that can let us know that he hears us. And even though the Israelites have been crying out for years and decades and centuries, they have been crying out for a long period of time. God heard them. And so he acknowledges that in this is that I heard your cries. I heard what was going on with you. And then God has to use somebody. So this goes back to Genesis when God said, when he was creating the earth, where he said, let them have dominion, because God made that law, he made that agreement to say that let them, us humans, have dominion over earth. The only way that God can come in and do anything on earth based on his rule, based on his covenant, is if he has a human body, a human vessel to do it in. And so that's why he uses Moses to deliver them. He's saying, I'm using you. And what verse was that in? So okay, he's a God who sees in verse 7. He saw the misery of his people in that. He's a God who hears, that's also in verse 7, because he said, I have heard them crying out. And then he's a God who acts in verse 8. He says, I have come down to rescue them. So he's doing that by saying, I'm coming down to rescue them, but he can't physically do that because he's a spirit being. He needs a body to get into. And so that's where verse 10 comes in, where he's the God who calls, because now he tells Moses, now I'm sending you. I'm going to send you out to do what it is that I need for my people. And then he also is a God who protects. And that's in verse 12, because he tells Moses, Moses is afraid. Moses is like, who am I? What am I going to do? I done killed this Egyptian man. I done ran away. I done created this life for myself. Like, what am I to do? And he says, I will be with you. So that's his promise to Moses, is that when you go to do this, you're not doing this on your own accord. You're not doing this based on Moses' ability. You're doing this based on my ability as God, and I'm going to be with you. And we talked about this when we talked about we try to do God-sized things with human ability, and that's not possible. So when God says he will be with us, like he tells Moses, it's gonna happen. Now, did it happen overnight? No. Was it an easy task? No. But in every step of the way, God was with him. And that's what he has reminded us, and that's his promise to us. And then when you look at the end of this, it's the additional scriptures, the Exodus 34, 4 and 7. That's basically him giving his generational covenant. In Numbers 6, 24 through 7, that's what they call the priestly blessings, or if you Baptists in the church like me, we call it the benediction. That's the now unto him who is able. That's the priestly, that's the benediction part. Then in Deuteronomy It's where he basically is giving them the blessings and the identity. And when I read this, when I read Deuteronomy 28, 9 through 13, and I was saying people will be afraid of you because of God, what God has called you to do. So people will be scared about you, not because of you, or people will hate on you, not because of you, but what God has called you to do. And then in Psalms 34, 103, it's basically his protection and his deliverance. Um, of course, right on time, Shiloh starts screaming. So those are my notes. I will open it up to if anyone else has anything else they want to share or not.
Again, we're back in a place where um, an old man is being asked to do something. Um, he was 80 when this happened. He wasn't a young man. And to have started his life in service in this manner, there were a couple of things that got me. One of them was that he went up the hill not knowing what he was going to find when he got up there. Um, but he was inquisitive. Um, and the other thing was that God said, I am that I am. And he knew who he was. He was trying to introduce himself, or I took it as he was trying to introduce himself to Moses. I am, and that's what you tell people that I told you I was, because that's who I am. That's it.
Thank you. Come here. Oh, okay, come here. I'm done. Come on. Oh, oh, be careful. Okay, okay, okay. Say hello. You say hi. Okay. You feel better? Yes. Okay. You're just having a breakdown?
Hi,
Yeah.
little boy. Hi. Hi.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about Jesus. Yeah, we were talking about Jesus. Yeah. You gonna tell me about
Jesus.
Jesus? You gonna sing, you gonna tell me a Jesus song? What's your Jesus song? Jesus loves me. You're not gonna sing your song? Yeah? Okay. Can we finish talking about Jesus? Are you gonna let us finish talking about Jesus? Yeah? Okay. Thank
He
you.
said he want to talk about Jesus.
What do you want to say about Jesus? You want to say hi to Jesus? Yeah. Well, I don't think you want to say hi. I mean, we could say hi spiritually, but not.
Yeah, because I was going to leave you.
Yeah, I was like, it was like we don't want to say hi personally. Yeah. Okay.
Hi. Shy shy. Shy shy.
So does anybody else have anything? Yeah, anything else?
Good lesson. Uh-oh.
Anything else?
He is just talking so much. I am over here just my ovaries. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, until
Girl.
she saw the picture I sent this morning where he was on sale for $1. He was on sale this morning. I was gonna put
Oh
him on eBay.
no.
Hello. You ready for me to pick you up? Your stuff ready?
He said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You ready for me to pick you up?
Say I was on sale.
You.
Yeah, you was on sale. Yeah, you was on sale this morning because you made a mess.
He said, "No,
I
I
showed.
didn't. It wasn't me." Lies you tell.
He said, huh?
Hmm.
They telling stories on you, Shayla.
That's his mama, not me. He wanted a snack and she should have gave him a snack.
I was trying to get
I
dressed for
mean,
work, and he the
She
snack ended up
she
on the
left it
floor.
up to him to do it, and that's what happens.
Already.
Yeah. You wanted a
Okay.
snack, huh?
It's not about you. We talking about Jesus. We're not talking about Shasha.
Shasha.
We're not talking about Shasha. We talk about Jesus. Say anybody else have anything to say about Jesus? Anybody else want to share on the lesson? Okay. Okay. Well, I will stop.